It is Wednesday evening, and that means it's time for another Auburn family night where we get together and talk about anything and everything in the Auburn experience. Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. It is all fair game, and it's all about you, your calls, your questions, and comments, all coming up right now. War Eagle Auburn family and a special War Eagle, and welcome to those of you that consider yourselves part of our E2C network family. Thank you so much for joining us. Whether you're watching live on the replay, as you can see, my computer malfunctioning, we're good now. We have to be able to get things set up for you guys to take calls tonight, and that one little thing wasn't taken care of. Thank you for joining us haphazardly here for Auburn Family Night. This is the show where we make it all about you, the Auburn family, and what you want to talk about. We're going to dive into a lot of stuff tonight, as we always do, but we most importantly want to make it about you and what you're interested in talking about and thinking about. So as you're coming in here, whether it's live or replay, smash that like button if you enjoy this content, if you think we've earned it. And obviously, subscribe, follow wherever you're watching so that you don't miss out on any other opportunities to be live with us tonight. There are a lot of things in the Auburn experience that we could talk about tonight. Some of the things listed in our title: scrimmage, new helmet technology, practice continues to go underway. Soccer season is about to begin. Other fall sports will be getting going slowly here. School starts next week for Auburn University, which gets the town going, which gets the fan base and the family going. Plenty of things that we can dive into here that you might all be interested in. So let us know you're here. Start the show off with a War Eagle, smashing the like button. And, let us know where you're checking in from, like Dalton did from Cordell, Georgia. We like to know where the Auburn family is. Where are you guys calling in from tonight? Now, if you want to take advantage of our call-in link this evening, it's brought to you by our friends at allthingsauburn.net. Please do make sure you check them out, not just for a place to stay at Auburn when you go visit that loveliest village on the plains, but it's a place to have a great Auburn experience, which is what we talk about here. And that's what Miss Tanya is all about over there at allthingsauburn.net. They stay in the game day center, which is right behind Mama Goldberg's, if you're looking at Mama Goldberg's. So be thinking about that if you're looking for a place to stay this fall when you're coming to visit the campus and all of that. They bring you the phone line. It's open now. Hit the link here on YouTube. All you got to do is click the link. You can be on camera or off camera. But if you're on Facebook, you want to access it, just come over to YouTube and you can utilize it that way. So many people checking in from so many different places. Now, Josh tells us he's checking in from, why is it not letting me do Josh? It's not letting me do anybody. What the heck? We are apparently not able to click on people's comments anymore, which is very frustrating. Interesting. Let's try Kevin's. Nope. Wonder if this will do it. Nope. All right. Well, it wouldn't be an Auburn family night if we didn't have some type of malfunction, some type of issue. So we'll just roll with it. I won't be able to bring your comments up on screen tonight. It looks like we'll check back on that in a little bit, but we can at least address them. Can y'all see me and hear me? Give me a thumbs up if y'all can see me and hear me. I am so sorry for the issues that we are having this evening. Let me know if you guys got me, because that's the second time in tonight in a row that that's happened where it took me away. Let's see if I can click on. Now we can. All right. Could y'all see me like that time that I came back for a second? It, I don't know what's going on. All right. Listen, I had hoped that we would have had a more fluid, more steady pace show than we did last week. But apparently, whatever is going on in the internet sphere, if it does it again, we're going to have to switch over and do something else. Let me make sure all of my audio is coming through. It does look like it, because I'm getting differing opinions on yes, no, all that kind of stuff. It looks like we're good, though. All right. Let's try to make a show actually now. Welcome to Auburn Family Night. We appreciate you being here and hanging out with us. Let's get into the things that you want to talk about that are Auburn related. We're 6 minutes into the show, and we had that many malfunctions and things like that. As I was trying to say, there are a variety of things that we could dive into this evening. What are you all most interested in talking about? Is it expounding more on the practice stuff, the scrimmage stuff? I did attend the scrimmage as a media member and was able to kind of to some takeaways from that. We've done a live stream about that if you want more thorough information on that and my takeaways from it. What I think I have found that is very interesting from that scrimmage is and I'm not even talking about other media members. I'm just talking about people that said they were in attendance, because there were actually more people than I thought would be in attendance, having different takeaways from that scrimmage than I did. And the stark contrast, I think what it really shows is how biased we have become in the Auburn fan base, that we are just looking to have our beliefs, our ideas of how things actually are confirmed, and we're ignoring all the other things that potentially are out there. So if you want to talk about that, we certainly can, and dive into that. Alan says, what did I miss? Well, you missed about if you're talking about in this show, you've missed 2 times where Kyle lost connection back to back in the stream in the first 5 minutes, and this never happened before. It happened one time last stream. So basically all you've missed is me getting frustrated on camera with technology and failing me in the most crucial hours. Going back to what we were talking about, Brian says, yes, confirmation bias. We all are creatures of our own opinions and beliefs, and oftentimes when we're presented with information that is contrary to that, we often forcefully try to force ourselves not to believe it, to listen to it, to think about it. And there's some of that I think still going on to this day. Richard brings up the topic probably that I'm addressing with this. How did Peyton Thorne look? Who will be the backup quarterback? Getting right to the heart of it. Again, talked about all of this stuff in the post scrimmage stream that we did. I would highly recommend you go check that out. That's more like on the spot stuff, fresh on my mind, reactions. How did Peyton Thorne look? I thought he looked fine. I don't think he looked outstanding. I didn't think he looked bad in any way. He threw a touchdown. He moved the ball down the field at times. At times he didn't. I did note in like the little things I was taking for myself and posting on our Conquer Club feed at the Eagle tier, those people I give inside little insights to like that whenever we get to do things like that. I noticed how much he was having to correct people, wide receivers, namely, and get them into the right spots because they didn't know where they were supposed to be. So any rhythm that I think was messed up sometimes could have been as a result of people not knowing where they were supposed to be. And it's still being early on in practice. And folks, I hate to bring this up to you, but we are dealing with a very large group of talented wide receivers that are freshmen, and they're going to take some time to acclimate. They may be uber talented. They might be the next best thing here at Auburn, but they still got to get things right. Who's the backup quarterback? I still will lean on my discussion of several weeks now that is Holden, Hank, and then Walker. Walker, I would still hold in that same spot. He struggled at times during the scrimmage. I think that right there just shows me, that's where we need to be on that discussion. And I'm excited for his future, but I think he needs some time. In terms of Hank had some pretty decent outings in that scrimmage, but he also had some bad outings in that scrimmages. Whereas Holden didn't get as many opportunities in the middle portion of the practice. And I started to think that maybe that was a sign of where things were heading. But then I got to thinking this could have been Walker and Hank's opportunity to kind of separate themselves from each other in this discussion. And I lean that's where it's going. So now I still say it's Holden, Hank, very close there, and then Walker as essentially the third backup at this point. So I hope that gives you a little bit of a rundown of how I think about all those things. All right. Did you notice the helmet to player communication? So I saw today that they did the meeting with Tyler Raynard, who is the equipment manager for Auburn football, and talked a little bit about how that would function. I haven't had a chance to watch the other media members' stuff that put that out today, or look at the athletic department portal that we go to for things that they may or may not have provided us that weren't able to attend. But it looks like it's going to be very well thought out. I think it's exciting change to college football, but it's going to have its drawbacks too, meaning it's got to be something we get used to. They get used to all that stuff. I saw something about green stickers are going to be used to indicate the helmets that are going to be hooked up to go with that. So it's exciting. I need to do a little bit more research, a little bit more digging into it, and do that kind of investigation about it. But I think we all know, I think if you were looking at this objectively, you knew this is where it was heading in college football. I'm just double checking to make sure we haven't gotten anything from the athletic department. It looks like, I don't know that they will provide anything that you weren't able to attend from there. Funny that the flagship show lost connection. Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny? I have a theory on what's going on now that I've been sitting here thinking about it for a minute. And I think it's something in my house that I'm going to have to address if that makes sense. Because that's the only thing that it could be. It was really weird. No, if you could, here's the thing. When I'm off camera and stuff like that happens, I'm pitching a fit back here. I got it together, and hopefully none of it was still on camera. But to my knowledge, you guys couldn't see me at all. I was saying something about how I couldn't click any of y'all's comments like I'm doing now, clicking on. I was like, what is going on here? And then all of a sudden the screen just goes blank and takes me back to the home page of this thing that we use. So did I handle it well? Maybe on screen, but off screen, no. Josh, what do you think of Thorne being named on the Golden Arm Award watch list? Josh, this feels like one of those questions that's meant as a jab. You may not mean it that way, but you have to understand that I get a lot of questions on live shows and other stuff that we do that are sometimes meant as legitimate questions, but sometimes meant to be a prodding at a certain angle. And so that's what it feels a little bit like you're doing here. Maybe not. Listen, okay, so it's not a jab. So he even says it right there. I don't know enough about the Golden Arm Award watch list. Here's what I know about watch lists. They mean jack diddly squat, whether you are the greatest quarterback or you are the worst quarterback. He is a senior. He is going to be, like most upperclassmen, senior guys, be put on watch lists, just probably from a respect thing, and his full body of work, not just last year. Expecting big things out of him, what's going to be around him. So if people want to put him on a watch list, great. I think some people out there are using that as an opportunity to continue their narrative that they don't want to let die because they want to be able to say, I told you so on social media and message boards and stuff like that. To me, I saw that come across. My first thought was, well, somebody's going to use that, but it doesn't mean anything. I'm super hopeful though for what Peyton's going to be able to accomplish this year as part of this offense with what's going to be around him. And if others are starting to see that outside of Auburn, that's great. I actually think Thorne has good accuracy. His arm just ain't as strong. I think we've seen some times where he's had a pretty strong arm, but I'll be honest with you, I'd much rather a guy have accuracy than strength. That's just my take on it. Let's go back a little bit to some of these questions. From what you saw, what position group had the biggest question mark which group looked like they could use the most improvement. Again, keeping in mind that it was a scrimmage against each other, somewhat live, not all the way live, more live at times than others. I think the offensive line still let me down in some areas, but again, it's so hard to adjust that. I'm going to say the unpopular opinion. It's still the wide receivers because, yeah, they made some great plays, but I noticed several times that they were out of position. They weren't, they didn't seem to know where they were supposed to be going, but they made great athletic plays to make up for it. So that would be where I would lean. Alan points out I've read that they were doing some installs during scrimmage that can cause issues. Absolutely can. We at that point were 1 week and 2 days into practice. And if you came into that scrimmage as a viewer of that or someone looking to have, insights from others that were there and didn't expect things not to be hunky-dory, then I got some land I want to sell you in a bayou on the Gulf Coast. You got to be honest with yourselves, people, and understand we're still installing some things and very early into practice. Now we're getting close to that halfway mark. So we're getting close to that time where depth charts need to be figured out. Rotations need to be figured out because we need to be doing less install, more preparation, more repetition, more fine tuning. We are reaching that point. Richard, have you played the new college football game? If yes, thoughts. Richard, where you been? Have you not seen our content even on Facebook over there that we put out about it? Yes, I have played it a ton. Not as much as some of y'all I've found out there. Someone today on our TikTok live stream told me they were on their 11th season of the game and the dynasty mode. And I'm like, where are y'all getting this time? Like, I get maybe on a good day, the game's been out, 4 weeks at this point? A week, a dynasty. I could see somebody doing that if they just did it every day and did a couple of games, a couple of weeks a night. Some of y'all got way too much time on your hands, but it's a great game and I love it so much. So glad to have it back. All right, let's get back to some of these questions here. Dalton says, did they look like a 4-loss or 3-loss team to you? Well, Dalton, that's too early to be forming those type of opinions about them. You look like a team in the first week and 2 days of practice, especially a team that's going through another year of new coordinators, offense and defense, and some changeover at positional coach, and a new culture and a new way of doing things. It looks like a team that has found its floor and is rising up from the floor. Sometimes, think about it, when you fall down, it's not the most graceful when you get back up after a spill. It may take you at times, you might slip down again, but you're going to have those triumphant moments continue to build and build until we get to the point where we're standing again. Y'all didn't think you were going to get that type of philosophy tonight, did you? Welcome to Philosophy 101 E2C. Hello, I'm Professor Kyle. All right. What else? What else is on y'all's minds? Don't be shy. Drop some comments in here, some topics that you'd like to hit, football or non-football related. I did make a request on TikTok this week to one of our viewers who is I think it was an Oklahoma fan, was asking for recommendations about when he comes to Auburn, what to do. Or no, maybe it was somebody just going to their first Auburn game. And I told him to call in tonight so we could talk about it in detail. It's happened before. And I'm not doing this as a dig towards him. People say they're going to do that and they never do, but I really hope he does because I want us to dive in. I want to talk about what he wants. And you guys can give that person some insights into how to have the best Auburn experience for your first time in Auburn. Let's see. Yeah, I knew it. Dalton, you've been here long enough. You've known me long enough here, virtually at least. You're not going to slip me up. Dalton is one of those that's been waiting for me to give my season prediction for a long time. He claims to have gotten it. No, he hasn't. In due time, my friend. In due time. Are we late to the party on getting helmet communication installed? It seems like that would have been installed at the beginning of fall practice so players and coaches could get used to it. I don't know what other players, coaches, teams are doing. I would imagine everybody has a different style, but think about what you just said here. Even if we were, and what we just talked about a little bit ago, this is a team trying to install a new offense. Now, according to Coach Freeze, they've already done a lot of that install in the spring, the off season, as much as you can, but you're still got new faces here that have got to get used to things. A lot of y'all love this wide receiver group, and rightfully so. Malcolm Simmons, Perry Thompson are brand new to this. So if you want them to contribute, they got to get used to it. So my assumption is actually not even assumption. I believe Coach Freeze was asked about this at the press conference, the very first one, just before the first practice, and said, we're about to go try it right now. So I think the talk that you're hearing today is more about the presentation that was made to the media, more so that we were utilizing it specifically just today. Now, they may not have been using it as much as they are now in practice, and I would assume that. So I wouldn't read too much into the hype and the discussion that you're seeing today and start thinking about, are we behind? My understanding of what I have heard from Hugh Freeze to now is it's already been installed. It's already been trying to be installed. This is just today us talking about it. Yeah, I think that's kind of where we're at with that. It's going to feel weird. How about let's quick poll the room. Let's quick poll the room. I need a yes or no in the chat. Yes or no in the chat right now. Are you in favor of them having helmet to headphone communication, them being able to talk or hear in the helmet, the quarterbacks, what they're supposed to be doing? Do you think that's something, yes or no? Are you in favor of that? I think I know where we're heading with these answers, but, well, okay. But I think we all knew this was going this direction at least. No, a yes, a yes. Okay. So a couple yeses, at least one no. Not surprised, WT. You love the old stuff. The old way of doing things. David loves the old way of doing things. And I think this goes back to that argument of the game that I know, the game that I love is changing and all that. And I hear you on that. But unfortunately, whether we like it or not, change is inevitable. And this is the way things are going. So we better get on it and get on it now. My fear is that it's hackable. Well, apparently Michigan doesn't need to hack anything. They can just, find a different way of hacking the system. So I wouldn't worry too much about the hackability. I'm sure there's safeguards in place, and we'll just see how it works out. David says yes as well. All right. You guys keep your comments, your questions, and topics coming. We've got our first caller lined up, so we want to go ahead and get them in. He's one of our regulars. We'd love to say hello to him. He is Captain Optimism himself. What's up, sir? How you doing, Mr. Kevin?
Hey, War Eagle Cam Coleman will be the main player this year.
I feel like you are not stepping out too much by saying that. You're probably close in saying that he's going to be one of the best ones out there.
And I had fun at the fan day.
Kevin, you were there and you didn't come find me?
I was looking for you, but I did not see you.
Well, I was running around with a big old E2C network shirt on. A lot of people found me and said hello, but not Kevin. I had someone ask if I saw you, and I said, no, I didn't see him. So I'm sorry it didn't happen.
And I went to the quarterbacks and special teams,
and
they signed my Seth Wins jersey.
Yeah.
And I got all the defense backs. I forgot offense linemen, but
you forgot the offensive linemen. Well, I'm sure they'll forgive you at some point, but you can't forget about the offensive linemen.
And because it wasn't enough time to get all the autographs.
It is a little bit short of a time. 1 hour does feel very short, but you got to remember these guys.
After defense backs, I went to the wide receivers, and it says something like this this black woman closed her line,
Well, they have to close the lines at
and
some point because they have
and
to
I
like,
and I said, "Wait a minute! I came from Mobile, Alabama, or Birmingham, Alabama. I want to see Cam Coleman, please. Please let us in."
and did she let
Uh,
you in?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. See, there you go. All
And
you got to do is ask sometime.
look, look right.
I see it. I can see it. Well done. You got it all signed right there.
Yeah, I told Cam Coleman, Perry Thompson, Bryce Kane, and
Malcolm Simmons.
no, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and Bryce Kane, that they were my 2024 signee class.
Well,
And I
cool.
said,
Now,
"Well, you're here now."
well, it sounds like you had a pretty productive day. Got plenty of signatures. You got in
And
lines even after they closed down.
Jeffrey Lee said, "Who's your two favorite football players?" I said, "Number 3, Perry Thompson, and number 8, Cam Coleman."
Well, that's cool. I'm sure you'll have a lot of opportunities to cheer them all on this year. And I'm happy you made it to Fan Day, even if we didn't get to say hello. We'll have to make that happen at a Tiger Walk this year. It'll happen at some point.
I'm planning to go to the August 31st football game. It starts at 6:30 and
Yeah, Alabama
Tiger
A&M.
Walk at 4:30.
That's right. 2 hours before kickoff every single time, unless they state otherwise. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'll be there. So you know where to find me, right in front of the banner. You come say hello. I won't be
And
able
I
to talk while we're doing the Tiger Walk, but certainly before and after.
and I got pictures of the players with me too.
Very nice. What
And
you had quite the day, didn't you?
and when I go to the Auburn football game this year,
Uh-huh.
I want Malcolm Simmons, Cam Coleman, Perry Thompson, and Bryce Kane. I want their picture taken with me.
Well, you're gonna have to work real hard because there's gonna be a lot of people looking for those same things, but you never
Yeah.
know. You might find them all at the same place at the same time together and be able to get that picture. Well, here's what I want you to do for me, Kevin. I want you to go. Have you watched our video from Fan Day? Oh, we may have lost Kevin. Kevin, you there? Well, I was going to give him some homework, but apparently he has lost connection. So he may call back and we may give him one more chance here, but that's just the way things are going tonight. Oh, technology. You love it and you got to hate it at the same exact time. Well, that was Kevin. He's one of our regular callers. It's always good to hear from him. So you guys can call in too. Would love to hear from some of you all that are watching, some of our long timers, some of you newish people here. Give it a shot. Just click the link on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, you have to come over to YouTube and do it. Just come in, say hello, give it a test. We'd love to see some of you guys become regulars and stuff like this. Because I want the show to be more, the Wednesday night shows to be more about you guys and less about me. But, you know, I just saw this, Dalton. Kevin and Dalton have the same internet provider. I can guarantee you we don't. And I can guarantee you I have a good enough cable provider that, or internet provider that this, I don't think it was internet what happened to me. I think we have some connectivity issues. But anyway, we'll figure it out. Hopefully it won't be 3 weeks in a row next week if I don't figure out a solution. Let's see here. Where are we at on comments and questions? On another note about Clemson and Georgia kickoff time. Well, you know, no offense, Richard, but we only focus on Auburn stuff here. I'm not really worried about that. I mean, I'd probably take Georgia in that matchup, but we keep it mainly focused on the Auburn stuff here. Man, Allen and Dalton have got like a side conversation going in here. I feel like I shouldn't be looking in on it or something like that. We'll bring it up on screen if it's here. It says, I agree. I do feel that less than 7 wins may negatively affect us in recruiting. I'm cautiously optimistic that 9 wins may be on the table. Hopefully. I don't think you're outside the realm of possibility with hoping for or believing that 9 wins is on the table. There's a difference between being on the table and what's likely. So I like to, and we talked about this, I think, 2 family nights ago about a bell curve. What's the most likely scenario for Auburn this year? What are the like secondary most likely, and what are like the bottom? So if you think of a bell curve, it makes that the most likely is in the middle and the outs, and as it goes down, makes a bell. There's the lower possibilities. If you think about it the way we've been talking about it here, way back, you kind of know where my prediction might be heading. Now, I might lean a little bit on one side of that bell or the other by the time I make that prediction. But yeah, it may we'll see. We'll see how everything shakes out there. He says 7 wins may negatively impact us in recruiting. I wouldn't worry so much about the negative impacts of the wins. Not to say that it's not a factor. I think most recruits and most people look at where are we heading. 7 wins is still progress. It's still better. It's not great, but it is still a better season than last year. Just simple math. So I think most people are going to look at that and say, well, they're getting the last bit of what wasn't the Hugh Freeze teams out of, and I don't mean this in a rude way towards any players or anything like that, but I mean, there is something to this about cleaning house and getting your people completely in there. You've heard Peyton talk about it. We posted a quote from him this week. Let me see if I can pull that up from our Instagram. Quick plug for our Instagram. If you're not following, we just reached 2,000 followers over there, and it is difficult. I know it doesn't seem like it for some of y'all that like found the trick for Instagram. Oh, we're at 2,073 already. Growing on Instagram is tough sometimes, but let's see if I can find the quote. So this is from Jarrett Stidham. The guys that Coach Freeze has brought in are his caliber guys. They're high character guys. They're like-minded guys. And so you have more of the same people around, I would say, which has been great. So this is a guy that knows what's been going on for the last 2 years, been part of this program, seen the differences, and is talking about what the difference it makes as Hugh Freeze's stamp becomes more inked in on the Auburn program. So we'll see. Obviously, what the win totals are but I wouldn't worry so much about the win totals outside of. I agree that we need to be planning and making sure that 7 wins minimum is the acceptable standard this year. You get below that and you get 6, you really need to do some reassessments. It's not time to panic, but I don't think we're in that possibility. WT says, I will be disappointed if we do not get 8 wins this year. Completely doable, and failure to hit that will not show the improvement we are expecting. Well, again, that's going to be your subjective, so don't say we. I don't think that 7 wins is reason to be disappointed. I would say that is a satisfactory mark where you go, okay, we had a lot more room. This could have been a lot better. We had that potential. We didn't make it do it, but we moved forward. This is about moving forward at a sustainable, progressing pace, not at some light speed jump where you get there and then you fall right off the cliff. Anybody remember after Cam Newton? It wasn't a complete fall off until the second year after him, but it fell off. So you got to keep that in mind. All right, Richard wants to talk about running backs. Jarquez, running back 1, who is RB2 and RB3. Again, this is a conversation that I get a lot, and I think this is speaking to the nature of this fall practice season. There's not enough stories for there's no true quarterback battle, or as much as one of people want there to be, or anything like that we're looking for those things. Everybody knows that the wide receiver room needed some help and has likely gotten that. So that's kind of figured out. But I don't think that I think this is very easy. I think it's Jarquez Damari and Jeremiah Cobb. Now, the unfortunate reality is that Brian Battie is not going to be participating. And that obviously opens things up very easily for other people to have more playing time. As Antonio says, Damari 2, Cobb is 3. But don't get so focused. This is my take. You don't have to have it on the 2 and the 3 spot. You've heard a lot of encouraging things from the coaches about Jeremiah, how he looks like a much different back this year. He actually looked like a college ball player. Freeze has said that recently. You're going to see him implemented more, whether he is 2 or 3 or whatever. And just by the very virtue of there's time that's opened up with Brian Battie not being able to participate. So with that in mind, just to answer the question fully, 1 is Jarquez, in my opinion. 2 is Damari. 3 is Jeremiah Cobb. Now, what's going to be interesting if both remain, Damari and Jeremiah, next year, and Jeremiah, what I think a lot of people are hoping for, is has a great year. What happens the next year? Will it be Damari gets his opportunity to be the lead back? Will it be he has to share a lot of that with Jeremiah? Only time will tell. But I think way too many people are sleeping on Damari because they're so excited about Jeremiah. And I understand why. One of the best out of the state that year that we brought him in, Mr. Football. I watched the highlight film of him, too, at high school. Looks great. But you have to remember it was high school. So these players need time to grow. They need time to adapt to this game. Jeremiah has a year under his belt. And so that's going to pay off hopefully a little bit more this year. All right. Fred says, hi, and War Eagle, been a minute as I go through some health issues. Well, I hope you're doing all right, Fred. I'm excited for the future. Indeed, we're glad to have you back in the saddle with us, Fred. Stay tuned with us. We do this every single Wednesday night. Thanks for checking in on Facebook. People feel the need. Let's see. WT says people feel the need to have a talking head on an AU channel to either confirm their biases or to learn what they should tell others when discussing Auburn. I have never understood that. Are you talking about me, WT? I understand what you mean. This is not just an Auburn conversation, a sports this is we go where our biases are. We want to hear what we have already in our head, which is why I try to talk about it from both angles here. Antonio, how do you play all freshman receivers when the conference game has limited players that can dress out? How do you play? Well, I'm sure that they have, if what you're asking is, are we going to play all the guys? I mean, that's up to the coaches who's ready and who's not. And I'm sure if all 3 are ready, they're going to find a way, whatever the numbers are, to play them. Oh, Big Simp, Fred. This is Big Simp. Oh, my goodness. How are you doing? You got to throwing me off with a different name and you haven't been on your name online. Well, good to see you on Facebook. Fred and Big Simp. Putting that together is going to take me some time. So just bear with me. Yeah, I don't really, Antonio, going back to your question, I'm not necessarily understanding what you're getting at with this one, but I think they'll figure it out if they're all worthy of playing. Maybe if you meant something else and I didn't understand it, give me some explanation. Big Simp, Fred, says, we are finally getting depth. Hugh is doing an outstanding job on the recruiting trail. You can sense something great is coming. The guys look on this to be on the same page. I would say that this type of language, these type of stories, these type of feelings come out every single year at the start of the year. But what I will relent to you, Fred, is that it does feel this year a little different. I'm going to use something that some of y'all are going to roll your eyes at and say that's no reason to be encouraged about the team. But I'm going to go back to Fan Day. When I was at Fan Day, I've come to these several years in a row now. So I've been seeing this, and every year, for the most part, the players are, whether they're happy or pleasant or just doing what they're supposed to do, they are willingly there and participating as part of what they do is the privilege of being a football player. But this year, I just got the sense just walking around, because I did a full walk around once for video, and then I just started going back for some just photos and stuff. And it gave me a chance to slow down and kind of watch the interactions a little bit more. And, the players just were taking the time to cut up with people, jumping up from their tables to take two of them would take pictures with one person, or they would ask them about where did they come from, and not just ask them where they come from, but like, oh man, you came all the way from New York down here. Like that's what made you come down here for just that. So I would say that's a good sign for the health of a program. You've got a team, a group of individuals coming together. The theme this year from Hugh Freeze is gratitude. I think that's starting to come through from his team. WT says you do a great job of not giving the audience what they want to hear. Well, I appreciate that. I think that loses some viewers sometimes. Actually, I know it does. Should I make the statement? Those of you that obsess about the decision making of 17 and 18-year-old boys in recruiting, y'all got problems. Now, the people hear that, they react, they turn the thing off. You should worry about recruiting. You should factor that into your conversation. We talk about it here, but we only obsess about or talk about it when they actually commit. So to your point, I'm not afraid to kind of, from my point of view, tell it like it is and kind of put things in perspective that they are sometimes. Stan, what's going on? War Eagle to you. War Eagle to you. One more year. We're not there yet. What you mean by that? But he's given us his early assessments there. Dalton asks, any news on McPherson? Nothing other than what Freeze has already said and what he spoke about at his last press conference. He is scheduled for another one. Where did it go? Press conference this Friday. No. Am I blind? Player interviews, Coach Freeze before practice. Yes. So we will hear from him, and maybe he can update us or get asked about that from media members that are able to attend. He seems to be working his way back. That's all I can say. I hope people don't go crazy if our young receivers have a bad game. Oh, they will. Oh, they will. So that's the world we live in. Malcolm Simmons is the now Big Simp is part of the crowd. This is Big Simp Fred. That's perpetuating this. Buddy, don't do this to yourself. Don't do this to the kid. He had a great scrimmage where we weren't 100% live. He looked great. I was there. I saw it myself. We all went. Everybody in the media section turned around and looked at each other when he made, especially that one touchdown play. But he ain't there yet. So just slow down. Slow down. We'll see. That you may be right, but we're not there yet. Antonio, we have 9 receivers in rotation, but I think only 7 can dress for conference games. They are all good. Do you use the other 2 for special teams? Oh, well, yeah. So I think that goes back to what I was saying. If you are a player that is going to be able to positively, and not just like, oh, he may give us a little something, but definitely impact the team in some way, they are going to find a space for you, whether it's playing wide receiver or special teams. So yes, I think you just answered your own question right there. I wouldn't worry so much about the numbers. They have figured it out. And I wouldn't worry so much about just making sure all the freshman receivers are out there. I'm going to make a very, I think, safe bet here. Not all 4 of them are going to have the years that everybody's planning on them having. And it may be someone you think that will. Have you ever considered that? So I think, Antonio, they will find a way to put them out there if they are going to be able to positively affect this for us. Unbeaten Lake, already preparing myself for that under the radar team that ends up catching everything. WT, what is one game you can see us stealing, i.e. game we are not projected to win? And what is the game you can see us give away? Okay, let's do that. All right, so we'll get back to, I see there's other comments and questions. We'll roll back through some of those. Let's talk about this, a couple things. I want to hear some of y'all's perspectives. So let's talk about first what WT said. What's the game that we might be able to steal, meaning we're not expected to win? So you guys answer too. And I think I'm going to speak for the crowd here and say we're not expected to win Alabama. We're not expected to win Georgia. Right now, we're not expected to win against Missouri. Some people are putting Kentucky and Oklahoma on the table. So if you want to put those 5 as possibilities, people are making cases for that. I would say the one that you steal in that category is the one game is going to be Oklahoma because it's at home. If you want to consider Kentucky a steal, that could be that as well. But Missouri may be your most likely candidate for a big steal. Problem is, this is 11 a.m. and call me superstitious because I am a little stitious. There's something about that 11 a.m. kickoff on the road for Auburn, at least. On the other side of the equation, here's a steal. He says, let's steal Bama. I think our steal is Missouri. Well, I feel we are good enough to beat OU. I do as well, but I'm just talking about what were the likely options. So going back to his question, where was it? What's the game that you see us give away? And he had to bring up the name. Hey, you just sounded like the bat signal for all the Bama fans. Somebody mentioned New Mexico State. Somebody mentioned New Mexico State. Just say Lamo back to them. And when they say 4th and 3, 4th and 31, just say 4th and 3. Because it's the same thing. I would much rather not be embarrassed by not being able to get 4th and 3 than 4th and 31. Just saying. 3 yards. What's the game that you could see us give away? So we are expected to win all those other games. So 7 other games. I think Texas A&M at home at the end of the year, if they get rolling, is probably your most likely candidate. Right now, I would expect us to win that one. Just what we know right now, what we think Auburn's capable of, what we do and don't know about Texas A&M in a first year under their coach. I think that could be one that's susceptible. Antonio says that fans are sleeping on Dre Lambert, the transfer receiver who beat us twice while with Penn State. No one's sleeping on him here. I've been talking a lot about him. Now he's got to stay healthy. He was running separate from and not running the plays with the team. Apparently there's been a little bit of he got banged up a little bit. But I think for the most part, he's okay. Hopefully we'll get an update about that soon. Alan says this year's win total will greatly depend on how the young receivers do. Do they run the correct route? I'm encouraged to hear Kyle Saythorn was telling them where to align. Glad he is leading. And you can lead all you want. He was doing that last year as much as he could, even though he only had the fall practice to prepare. People forget that. People got to listen. And you can be the best leader in the world, but they don't listen. If they're just that stubborn and they're not a good teammate, doesn't really matter. Listen, y'all going to hear me defend and support Peyton a lot. Some of y'all don't like that. Get over it. But the problems have long been far beyond the quarterback. While I do agree with you that the young wide receivers that will play, them knowing what to do, where to be is going to be huge. You got to have, as simple as this, great offensive line play. To be successful in college football at this level in the SEC, if your offensive line cannot move people an inch, you will not succeed, period. It's as simple as that. Some people don't want to hear it. It's the reality. I don't care how much the game changes. I don't care what the newfangled defense is. I don't care how good your kicker, your punter is. If you cannot move people 1 inch, you will not succeed in the game of football. That's it. It's a game of inches. You shouldn't have blown your cover. I'm undercover and I work for the government. Well, I have an alias, Keith. Well, I mean, you just blew your cover. All right. Some of you were commenting about which ones we would steal and things like that. There you go. Some people were answering that. Unbeaten Lake says, I'm overdue or I am. I think we are overdue for a win at Georgia. Last one was 2005. Last time scoring more than 1 touchdown in Athens was 2009. So why don't we start there? Let's score more than a touchdown. Let's do it. Just more than a touchdown. Let's start there and see where it takes us. Stan says, what wide receiver isn't being talked about? Is this a question just in general? If it's a question just in general, I think there needs to be more conversations about Sam Jackson, about Robert Lewis, some of these really Robert Lewis. I think some people have woken up to the fact that he's going to be a big part of this offense, but not enough have. I should have given him more credit, but I think he's going to be a big deal for this offense. Even if he's not your leading wide receiver, I think he's going to be that. Let me put it to you this way. So I think every great wide receiver group for Auburn, or just in general, has three. I'm using just a very loose example here, but three main guys: your go-to wide receiver, your specialist, whether he's a speed guy, possession guy, whatever, and then the guy that's forgotten about because the other two are doing so great and they do what they do so well. Seth Williams was the go-to guy. Anthony Schwartz was I've got them mixed up a little bit. Unless I think they were there at the same time for a time. Anthony Schwartz was your specialist. Who was the one that got forgotten about? Darius Slayton. Who is the one that's having the better NFL career? Darius Slayton. I think Robert Lewis is your Darius Slayton. I do. I think your specialist, it could be anybody at this point. Your go-to guy is going to either be Keandre Lambert-Smith or Cam Coleman. I think it's as simple as that. But who are going to be those three guys? If you get those three guys, I mean, think about it. Devin Aroma-Shadu, Ben Obumanu, Courtney Taylor. Throw Anthony Mix in there as well. Let's go back to I'm trying to put everybody else's receiver groups in my head together. Sammy Coates, Marcus Davis, and I'll throw CJ Uzama in there too, even though he was a tight end. He was kind of a hybrid. You had groups of three guys at wide receiver. So who are going to be those guys? We need Oklahoma to batter Alabama to help us out in the Iron Bowl. Hey, I'm all in fan of that. Let's see here. Got behind in chat a little bit. By the way, if you guys haven't, do utilize the phone link. We are already at 8:52. We'll start winding down here in a little bit. If so Unbeaten Lakes put into perspective for us, I just realized if we do lose in Athens this year, it will be as long as the cigar curse in Baton Rouge, which lasted 20 years. Is that legit? Is that legit? That feels like it's not. That feels like it's a few years off, but I'll trust you that you've done the math. Point is, it's time to win in Athens. I don't think it's going to happen this year. Slayton balling out. Fair weather will be Mr. Clutch. So think about it this way. So let's say Auburn has three guys arise of that three wide receiver group I just talked about. You've got your Darius Slayton, your Marcus. Excuse me, I'm getting them mixed up. Darius Slayton, Anthony Schwartz, and your Seth Williams, but whoever that is this year. But then you've got that other guy that is just a nuisance. Rivaldo could be that and more this year. I think he's a big, big factor this year for us. Carrie, we already talked about that a little bit. I don't know that we should be worried, but hoping that they're going to make the next big step forward. Bo's sick tonight. What's been your excuse every other night? I'm just kidding, Dalton. I hope you guys feel better. Listen, I know you guys hear me request that a lot, and I get it. I get it that it's intimidating to call in, to hit the link here on YouTube. I know Facebook guys, you can't do that. You'd have to come over to YouTube. But just give it a try. I promise it's not as big, and you cannot be on camera. Nobody will think any less of you. Some people are just not in a place where they can show what's on cameras. Some of us don't look as good as indicated here. So give it a try whenever you want to. All right. Keep your comments and questions coming, and we will address those rapid fire here to round out the show. We are typically out of here by 9 o'clock, but if we're having good questions and stuff, I might stick around a little bit longer. Let me go through the normal boilerplate stuff that we always talk about here. Some reminders for you. When can you find us next? Well, we're here every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We've been doing this before Auburn on YouTube was a big thing. So join us. We've been doing this for a while, and we're going to keep doing this because I enjoy these nights with you guys. Put the wrong one up. So that's what we were doing tonight. Come on, Kyle, get your act together. I don't have time to bring it up, so we won't worry about it. But episode 89 was last week. 90 of the Auburn Experience podcast this Sunday is going to be what you want to be thinking about joining us next for. Now, I would highly suggest that you take advantage of the opportunities to be here live, but that you subscribe so that you can know when we go live, because sometimes we don't have scheduled things. Like if there's a commitment, we're going to do a live stream about that. That's not scheduled. Do it as soon as I can. So you're going to want to do things like that. And of course, smash the like button whenever you're here. A couple of reminders for you guys. I always say all these links are in the description. We're trying something new. This may be a no-no on YouTube. If you look in the description on YouTube, there is now one link. It leads you to what's called a link tree. That'll take you everywhere that you need to know. Our social media, content locations for podcasts, all that stuff. It'll also take you to ways that you can support. One of those ways, and you'll hear us, we've heard us talk about them before, but Alumni Hall, we are an affiliate of theirs. And if you want to help support us, you can make sure that you go over there and go through our link, which is on that link tree. As long as you go through that, you will be able to access Alumni Hall from there and shop over there and be able to, if you buy anything there, it'll help us out. So just something to keep in mind. You support Alumni Hall, you support us. Just make sure you go through our links through that link tree. We might put that singular one back up there for you guys in the future, but we're giving things a try. All right. Final questions, comments, thoughts, derogatory rebuttals. Get them in now. He says Burton. I think we were talking about who's going to be the guy. Maybe so. Who is someone we should watch for, or someone you were excited to watch on the offensive line? Connor Lew. Now that may be a boring answer because he kind of had his coming to the forefront last year, but we are probably watching the budding of the next great Auburn center. And not that we've not had that, but I like it when these guys are able to start as freshmen and then stay with us the entire time. Coach Frieza said it. I think he is a NFL player in the making. Seems like a good kid. Auburn has been much better off when they have that center position in football and play teams in general, when they have that center position locked down with a great one. So that would be someone to watch. John, where have you been, sir? We're going to start hearing from John more now that football's here. What's going on, sir? Good to see you. Did you see Bo Nix debut in Denver? I missed it. If so, how did he do? I didn't watch it. I don't really know how it turned out. I am openly hoping that that Jarrett Stidham will get his shot to start this year. Auburn will have many pick six in 2024. Yes or no? Well, you got to tell me what you think many are. If you think many is 10, yeah. Now, if we had Jalen Simpson here, was at one point getting an interception a game, that would be an easy thing to do. I think if Auburn gets over 10 interceptions this year, that's a good year. Can we get over that? Maybe. Yeah, we do find ways to keep you guys from working by all the content we put up here, but good to see you around again, John. Good to see you around. Talking about Nix, he looked pretty good. Well, good to hear. I'm excited for Bo. I'm excited for his future. I hate that there are two Auburn quarterbacks competing against each other on the same team. Here's what we know. We have a 2/3 chance, because Zach Wilson's also, I believe, still a factor there, of Auburn having a starting quarterback in the NFL this year. Think about that. It's been a while. So it'll be nice. I just wish they didn't have to compete against each other. But I want Jarrett Stidham to have the opportunity to start. I think that's eluded him, unfortunately, way, way too many times. All right, final questions. This is it this time. Final comments, questions, last minute. Get them in. The voice is growing weary. But anything that we haven't covered this evening, this won't be your only opportunity. We will do this again next Wednesday. We're live again on Sunday evenings for the Auburn Experience, which we do a little bit of this after we do the recording, which is about 40 to 45 minutes into the show. So if you want to do some more of this, Sunday is a good opportunity for that as well. But hope you can join us for that live portion of the show. Really, I think we've hit the majority of stuff. We have talked about fall practice. We have talked about the scrimmage. We have talked about wide receivers, where all these depth charts are lining up. We are hitting that point in practice where things are slowing down. There's not as many new topics to talk about. Just hang on, folks. We're almost there. Where did Stidham lead us to in his best year at Auburn? I never watched in 2020. Was the first year for you. Well, what a bad year to start. He led us all the way to the SEC championship game, and had we won that, would have been the college football playoff. He had a slow start led to a great year, and hopefully we are talking about him having a good NFL career at some point. WT says, I think people who follow an NFL team do not care how AU fans do at that level. I'm a diehard Miami fan, and I do not follow AU players once they hit the NFL. Well, that's completely opposite for me. The only enjoyment that's not fair. The main sources of enjoyment that I get out of the NFL are fantasy football, which I don't watch it enough to be good at it. But somehow I always end up like in the semifinals of my league. And to follow the Auburn guys. That's, to be honest with you, it's truly the main thing that I value at the NFL, is seeing how our guys are doing. That makes me tune in. That makes me keep up to date. So Auburn having a starting quarterback in the NFL this year most likely is going to be great for that. Helps that they have the same colors. That's what I'm going to like about it. Well, look at wrapping it all up there. Life is short. Enjoy those you love. War Eagle, great show. Appreciate that so much. Yes, please, for all of those of you that believe in the power of prayer and that we have a healing Savior, please do say prayers for Mr. Fred, aka Big Simp. He said he's been battling some stuff, so y'all please do that for him. Alan says, Kyle, as far as calling in, we don't want to be saying I sound like that. Well, how do you think I feel? I've been doing this and it doesn't sound any better. So give it a try. I promise you it's not as bad as people think it is, and would love for you guys to do that sometime. All right, rapid fire here. What do we got? Last things here. You value the AU players, but do you religiously follow an NFL team? That was my point. I don't. No, I think that maybe I missed that in your point. Who are the people in the picture with Hugh Freeze on the thumbnail? Those are random people, just random fans from Fan Day. That's all it is. Make sure you go check out our video of Fan Day if you haven't. Got good response on that. So if you guys continue to watch those, we'll continue to do ones like that. Maybe one for every week of a home game. You just never know. But you guys got to watch them, and you did this time, so it makes me want to keep doing things like that. All right, folks, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being with us and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. Hope to see you this Sunday at 9 Eastern time, or back here again at 8 p.m. next Wednesday night, or any other time here at YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Until we talk to you again, War Eagle.